Good morning, good morning. This is the week 14 power rankings. I know, welcome back. I know we had a week off and we're a little bit late on this one. Can't believe how much shit I've gotten from some of y'all in the league. Where are the power rankings? Yeah, well, you know what? This is the last one of the regular season. I might have another surprise in store for postseason or playoffs or something like that. I do expect to do something, but I decided to take a little bit of a break. I actually have a meeting in 30 minutes, so this is gonna have to be a short one too. It's just been very, very busy, but I know you guys don't really care about that. So I'm just gonna go through. I already submitted the power rankings, sorta. I mean, yeah, the power rankings ish on Discord. So let me go ahead and just gonna move this and start. I'm just gonna write the names in here. There are really no surprises at this point. So let's I gotta move that, and then I'll still go from the bottom up. So we have stacks at the bottom. Then we have next year. There's really not much for that's like new for tier breaks, right? Like we kind of know where everyone is. The playoff picture is pretty much decided. I will discuss the playoff picture a little bit, just because I'm sure everyone can do math, but maybe some of you can't, and you might need a little bit of help figuring out, can I make the playoffs? Chris might be wondering if he can still make the playoffs if he loses today, or this week rather. So I am here to help guide you all through that process. Now remember, this list here, kind of weird. This list here is completely regardless of standings at this point, just because there's been so much that's changed, and so it's a little bit of a different format than the other power rankings, just because part of what I considered for the other power rankings was whether or not they had a chance for the playoffs. At this point, like I said, the playoff picture is pretty much decided. And the interesting one here is Freaky there at number 2. I don't think I need my pen anymore. I can just put this down. Yeah, and then I can just discuss. So, first thing I guess I'll do is talk about the playoff picture. So, we have 3 people confirmed. There is Chris, myself, and Elliot that have clinched playoff spots. Chris is clinched number 1. There's unless I put up 300 points this week, and he loses and puts up like 100 or something like that, then there's no way I get number 1. But yeah, so I guess we'll start from the top down. So between myself and Elliot, if Elliot wins this week, then he gets it. If I lose, so basically, I guess it comes down to if I lose. Now, normally, I'm playing Jay. Oh, I am playing Jay. So normally, that should be a nice cruise to victory. However, my team's not very good right now, so it's going to be a little bit tougher for me to get in. It's definitely a nail biter. I know there's going to be a number of teams looking at this game, just because it has implications on obviously who gets the bye. If anyone in the league would probably rather me. Actually, they probably would rather have Elliot be there, but I guess not anyone. But the people that are the potentials for 6th place, right? So anyone who could get 6th place would want me in the 3 seed. Otherwise, basically anyone wants to play me right now. Now, for anyone who's wondering, there is no playoff reseeding. I thought there was, and then I looked, and there wasn't. So basically, what happens is you have the couple of brackets. I don't need to really spend. I don't have time to spend on that. You guys can look up how the brackets look on your own. But in any case, if I lose and Elliot wins, I drop down to the 3 seed. And so it's all dependent on me losing, right? So just a quick overview of the matchup. Jay, he'll put in Josh Jacobs. He always waits, but he'll get there. So this is I don't like my matchup here. I think this is quite a struggle. Rashichi, he wasn't even practicing. Yeah, he was sidelined yesterday. Hopefully he comes back today. Zay Jones, I'm sure he'll be back. So very weak, really. I mean, relying on Javonte Williams to get 14 just to hit projection seems like ridiculous. CeeDee Lamb projected at 19. He should be able to get that against the Philly secondary, but you just never know. It's just a lot to expect out of someone. But I guess that sort of gets balanced out by like Zeke, right? He's the lone back right now. He's going to get the heavy workload, but this is a really, really bad Patriots team. I would be surprised if he got under 10, honestly. So I think while I do think this is a bit high, I do think there are a lot of ways where he comes under, but not by too much. I really need some luck here with Kelsey not doing well, and with Goff. These guys are sort of having meh days. I need Devontae to go off. I need Josh Downs to return to mid-season form, and I need Chiggy, my old love, and Chiggy to come back and do something. He has been seeing a little bit more action the last couple weeks, so hopefully he can just get in the end zone, and Singletary as well. So again, there's a lot of ifs, but this should be a good matchup. Well, not good, but it should be an entertaining matchup, I suppose. So next, after we move down from here, we're now looking at the teams that can even make the playoffs, right? So basically, let me see here. The only team, there's no real easy way for Zach to get in. He has to win, and he needs both of these guys to lose. Yeah, he needs Freaky to lose, he needs Morganelli to lose, and he needs to beat Freaky's scoring output by 70, and beat Morganelli's scoring output by 60. Right? Yeah, that's the math. So it's extremely difficult for Zach to get in. But Morganelli has Jefferson likely coming back. Freaky's been on a roll lately. So it's going to be very tough for Zach to get in. So it's really a contest on which of these four doesn't make it. Now, the way that Nolan, so if Nolan loses, so I guess he and Jake are kind of in the same position. If they win, they're in. If they lose, they need, for example, if Jake loses, he's playing Freaky, so he would immediately replace, Freaky would immediately take his spot. If he loses, he also needs Morganelli to also lose in order to stay in. Now, if Freaky and Morganelli both win, then Jake is out because he's playing Freaky, and Nolan would be in. Nolan would be in the 6th. So I don't think there's really the way that Nolan doesn't get in, because it says he hasn't clinched. So there's a way he loses, and it would definitely be both of them winning, and he'd have to lose, and Jake would have to outscore him by 70 points. That's how it happens. So basically, Freaky beats Jake. Freaky beats Jake. Morganelli wins. Nolan wins Nolan loses, and so Jake would have to lose to Freaky while also outscoring Nolan by 70 points. So there's really no realistic way that Nolan doesn't make it. So the playoff picture is pretty much these four. And this is a toss-up, but it's looking. If I were to guess, let's take a look here. Let's look at these matchups, because this is probably the hottest game of the week. This game means a ton. So if I look at these matchups here, just eyeballing, that's a really, really close one. What do I want to do here? If I were to guess, that's so difficult. I have no idea what Tennessee's gonna do. But Indy just put up 31 on them, so I feel like Tua can do some damage. Detroit can do some damage against Chicago, but Chicago's run defense has been pretty good. So that might be kind of tough, but I think Gibbs has enough talent. This is just going to be a really interesting. This is such an interesting and juicy matchup. This pit right here, this pit defense, 12 is such an under projection. These guys should get at least 15 against New England. I would be surprised if they got under 15 tonight. So shit. Okay, I have 20 minutes. All right. So I think overall, like Eckler, I think is overprojected. He's just looked bad. His numbers are bad. Fine, yeah. I'm not just like a box score looker. He looks bad on film too. And his efficiency wasn't good last year either, rushing either, I believe. I think his rushing efficiency was pretty bad last year. He really is just because he got so many receptions that he was good in fantasy. And that still remains true today, but he's not being checked down to as much because he's not as shifty. His lateral quickness is like gone. And he also just lacks his explosiveness. So it's a very, very tough. I heard that, Jake could have traded Eckler for Jefferson, and my opinion is that that's a no-brainer. I absolutely would have done it if I had watched even 2 minutes of Austin Eckler on the field. I would have traded for Jefferson immediately. I don't care if it's Josh Dobbs. I don't care if it's Nick Mullins at quarterback. You take Jefferson, and Jefferson's still a keeper next year, I think. Jake has made a ton of good moves this year. Brandon Ayuk, trading for Derrick Henry down here. If you can have Derrick Henry on the bench, he brags about depth, and he didn't have it for a while. He has depth now. Purdy versus Seattle is interesting. I get why he's doing it. But Fields can pop off. So we'll see what happens. I don't need to go too much into that, but overall, I mean, Jake's team is really, really scary. He's gotten top, what was that? He's gotten what? Top, I just gotta take a look at this real quick. Jake has gotten top, let's see, top 3 scoring in the last 5 weeks. Jake has gotten top 3 scoring 3 times and top 5 scoring 4 times. He's gotten in the top half scoring of the league. Since then too. So since week 9, he has scored in the top half of the league every single week. Jake's team's absolutely on a roll. That's 5 straight. I think he has 5 straight wins too. So his team has been very strong. Rashee Rice, this could actually be an under projection. I think he has a big game. He's the guy in Kansas City. So he's an easy keeper. Laporta's an easy keeper. It doesn't, but I don't want to focus on keepers right now. I just want to look at this playoff matchup. So that's what I think about Jake's team. It's super scary, and it's good. It would have been scarier with Jefferson, but even so, like there's a lot going for him here. Yeah. Anyway, so looking at Freaky's team, this is Taysom Hill. I have no idea how. He should probably play. This guy, I mean, he's kind of a beast, so he'll play. Definitely boomer bust, but he gets so much red zone usage that solid tight end there. I don't like rostering Taysom Hill, but he does well when I don't have him, so he's solid. I think overall, like this, I think Dobbs is definitely weaker than any of these guys that Jake has. However, Freaky has Tyreek and Amon-Ra St. Brown. I think Myers is fine. Like he could fall flat too. Freaky's team has more explosive players, like basically Tyreek and Amon-Ra St. Brown, and even Pollard's been heating up too. Gibbs, like these guys can explode, but he has a couple of guys he's sort of hiding in there, right? With Dobbs and Myers, really is how I see it. But Jake doesn't really have any super low floor guys, I'd say. I mean, look, Cook possibly, but they have the new offensive coordinator. They're using Cook a lot more. You look at this team, honestly, Eckler is one of the worst pieces of this offense. I mean, I guess I would say Purdy is, but Purdy just put up 35, right? So who am I? But like the floor is scary with Purdy. So we'll see there. But Laporta is great too. So they're both scary teams. Based on matchups, based just on my gut feeling, I think Jake wins this. I think Jake wins this matchup against Freaky. I don't know. I think, does that banish? I don't think that banishes Freaky to the Shadow Realm. I think Elliot gets it done versus Morganelli. I was looking at this matchup earlier. This is a good segue. But I think Hurts will get another rushing touchdown. He'll be fine. Could have some fits against Dallas, but we'll see. I think he'll be okay. Chase will be good. AJ Brown should be fine. JSN, you don't really know, but I think that lines up well with Cooks. McCaffrey, Mostert is kind of I think overshadows White and Etienne a bit. I think Elliott has more strength than Morganelli's team does at most positions. I think Jacksonville does outscore Houston. Gabe Davis, you never know what Gabe Davis is going to do. But I think it was Kansas City. Was it Kansas City that Gabe Davis torched for 3 touchdowns in that playoff game? I think it was. Mingo has seen increased usage. He's bounced around from team to team. I had him, and I liked him. But I had to let him go just because with Bryce Young, you never really know what you're going to get. But this is awesome. And I would love to have Mingo right now. I'd be starting him this week for sure, but I don't have him. Targets, that's awesome to see, 10 targets. So he could be an underrated flex, but basically, if like Monty or Zach Moss is going, I would take either of these guys over Mingo. Like these 4 right here, boom, 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 boom. I would take over these 4, boom, 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 boom. Defense, I do like Morganelli's better. At tight end, I like Kincaid in this matchup. And then Chase, I'd take over Puka. AJ Brown, I take over Devontae. For fantasy purposes, I like Devontae. I like them both a lot as receivers. They complement each other so well. But overall, I think Elliott will win this one. That's my opinion there, which sends Morganelli to the Shadow Realm. He doesn't make it to the playoffs. I think the ultimate playoff picture will exclude Morganelli for the first time in a while. Which is going to be kind of strange, but that puts Morgan. This is very interesting because what that means is that makes Morganelli the immediate favorite to win the championship, right? And for those of you who don't recall, the winner of the championship gets first overall pick. I think Morganelli might have considered this with his trade with Jake. Eckler for Jefferson. I don't think this is the deciding factor. But I wouldn't be surprised if it was considered that he might not make it to the playoffs. But if he doesn't, he has a good chance at winning the championship. The winner of the championship gets the #1 overall pick, or choice of where they want to select next year. Now, Jefferson's time is up on Morganelli's team. He's not allowed to keep him another year. However, if he holds on to him and wins the championship, then he gets to draft. He could draft Justin Jefferson #1 next year, and then keeper him another 3 years after if he so chooses. So that is a possibility. So everyone was expecting Jefferson to basically who's he going to play for in the Kraken next year? Well, it might be Morganelli again. So we'll see. But he can't use a keeper on him, but he can draft him. So that'll be interesting to see. And I think there's a good chance that happens. I think the way the things are weighted right now, I think that's exactly what happens. I think Morganelli's path to Kraken Championship runs through Elliott. He has to win, and he needs help. So that's difficult. That's very difficult. However, so if he wins, and Nolan loses, then let's think here. So if he wins and Nolan loses, right? He has a bet. He moves up, and I think I already went over this, right? Then it depends on whether or not Freaky wins. If Freaky loses, then Morganelli becomes in. But then if Jake wins, or if Jake loses, then Jake's out. So based on what my predictions just were, it excludes Morganelli. But it's not. These matchups are so close. It is not impossible for really anything to happen. So it's going to be super entertaining to watch. I just want a goddamn bye. I really wish it would have been cool to see Zach in the playoffs. I think the killer for him was losing Kirk Cousins. The team hasn't been the same since. He has great players still. The guys are at least putting up a lot of points. I love this wide receiving core. Diggs, Debo, Pittman. I mean, Pittman's got to be one of the most productive receivers in the league. Look at that. Targets are insane. He gets thrown to all the time. It's a great receiving core. A really, really great receiving core. I think Swift, last time I said Swift has been, basically Pittman, but in the running back position, he's slipped off a little bit. The Eagles did say that they want to focus a little bit more on the run. So I wonder if they try and use Swift a little bit, lean on him a little more heavily this week. But Hubbard has completely supplanted Miles Sanders, which is insane to me. But I mean, can't argue with that. I mean, he's just been better, which sucks. But yeah, I mean, you put Kirk Cousins in here, this team is a playoff team. And I think trading for Dak, I've said this on the last one. I've said it since before the trade deadline. Zach trades for Dak. If Zach trades for Dak, Zach's in the playoffs. He doesn't lose. Let's take a look here. He lost this by 8. Yeah, Dak put up 32. So he would have won last week. Freaky would have been out. He lost by 22. And he played Baker. Is this the week? Wait, is that the week that Dak might have put up like 40? Hang on. Let me do some math. 37. So 37. Dak would need to have scored 37 points for Zach to win if he had him that week. And where is it? Stacks. 35. So he still would have lost, but barely. But all right. So that's boom, boom, and then week 11. I think it was going into this week, which he won anyway. So it would have gotten him one more win. So he'd be 7-6. Freaky would be 6-7, and Morganelli would be looking into the playoffs, and he'd basically be in the same position Morganelli is in right now, because Freaky would be eliminated. He wouldn't be able to make it in, I don't think. So yeah, I think that not having Kirk Cousins really cost him, and then not trading for Dak cost him as well, which otherwise it's a very solid team. Would have hated to see it in the playoffs, but he's out. So yeah, I think is that basically where we are. I still have like 5 or so minutes before I have to hop off. Let me think. I can go over. I guess I do. Yeah, I didn't even talk about the power rings. I just talked about the playoffs and what I thought was going to happen. Now, the actual rankings of the teams. So right on this one, it's just basically on the current roster, current active roster. So I still think Elliott's team is the best. I think this has too many big pieces. But I think Freaky's team is now in a spot where, with Kyron Williams back, it's been huge. He has enough explosive playmakers that he can outscore anybody, including Elliott. But he has the weaknesses that Elliott's team doesn't. And I think that really comes down to Jacoby Myers and Romeo Doubs. Then I have Chris at number 3. Chris took quite issue with this. He was not happy. But I mean, here are the facts of it. I had it laid out. I don't have it on the screen. But let me see if I can find it here. So what? Okay, so here are some of the things I looked at, because after Chris said he said it was silly that I haven't been number 1 in power rankings all season. I plan on making the commish eat those words. It's okay. I know my team isn't palatable for everyone. We're a unique bunch down at the crew. So here's some of the stats that I dug up. I counted top 3 finishes on the year, which I guess is that part's kind of arbitrary, but I'm trying to look for teams that have been consistently at the top. Elliott has had a top 3 finish 7 out of 13 weeks. Over half the time, Elliott has been a top 3 scorer. The next is Freaky and Morganelli. So Kraken Combined Tour and Antonio Gibson's Hitman Reborn both have been top 3 scorers 5 times. And the top 3 scorers 4 times was myself, Zach, and Jake. So Chris's team is, let's see. Sorry, so Freaky and Morganelli have 5. Chris also has 5. So Chris, Freaky, and Morganelli all have 5. And wouldn't you know it, Chris, Freaky, and Morganelli are 3 of the top 5 spots. Now, I threw Jake in here because Jake's team is a lot different than it was earlier in the year. And lately, as I said, his team has been on fire. And he has a lot of good players. So his team, he has a much different team, and it's a much better team than what he had before. He can survive injuries because he has some actual depth now. And I don't feel the same about Chris's team, personally. So, the 5 weeks that Chris scored in the top 3, Dallas defense put up, in this order, 38 points, 18 points, 26 points, 22 points, 18 points. 4 of those 5 games were against bottom 4 offenses. And one of those was versus the... So, not one of those 4. The 5th game was versus the Rams. That was a 26-point game versus the Rams when they lost Stafford. So, basically with Rippon at quarterback. And that is a bottom 5 offense with Rippon at QB. So, outside... And now we're going to move to season long. They've averaged 3.3 points per game versus teams not in bottom 5 offenses, excluding that Rams game. They play Philly, Buffalo, Miami, Detroit rest of season. So the reason why I bring that up, it's like, yeah, they'd put up a whole ton of points versus bad teams. That's fine if they were playing bad teams in the playoffs, but they're not. In the fantasy playoffs, they're not. They're playing Philly, Buffalo, Miami, Detroit rest of season. Philly this week, Buffalo week 15, Miami week 16, Detroit week 17. So that is probably one of the bigger reasons that I don't have Chris's team, at number 1 or number 2. And that's how Freaky leapfrogged him, is that a lot of Freaky's points have come on the offensive side and through different kinds of matchups. Now, this week is a bit different. So, and in the playoffs will be different too. However, Chris has a first round bye, so what really matters is week 16. Dallas versus Miami. He has Philly defense versus the Giants. We'll see which one he decides to go with. But his actual position players, look, Lamar Jackson, look at you're looking at it right now. Under 20 points, 1, 2, 3, 4. He has scored under 20 points. Most of them even we'll call it under 17 points. And 4 out of the last 5 games. He's not doing a lot fantasy-wise. They're containing him rushing. These are pretty bad efficiency numbers for a quarterback, right? So a quarterback, yards per carry is expected to be a lot higher because it's not like it's a lot different than a running back running the ball. Efficiency's been down. They've been containing him. He hasn't been throwing. He has one 300-yard game all year in the air. I just don't think it's a position of strength. I even wonder if CJ Stroud has done more. He has more points than, CJ Stroud is easily passing, definitely passing better than Lamar, but he has more points than Lamar in the year too. So Lamar's not a position of strength, and he's playing San Francisco week 16. That is tough. Keenan Allen, probably his best player on his team, if I were to say. I think Keenan Allen's his best player, and he's going to continue to do great. New England's always tougher than this 12 would indicate. He has a tough matchup, but I think he'll be fine. I think he will probably hit this projection. Garrett Wilson, who knows what he's going to do. I don't care if he's playing Washington. The defense doesn't matter really against who they're playing. It's if Zach Wilson's having a good day. Zach Wilson's the starter again. If Zach Wilson's having a good day, he'll do well. Doesn't matter against the defense. Obviously, a worse defense improves his chances, and a good defense it will lessen his chances. But you can still do really badly against a bad defense. Metcalf against Tennessee. I like that. I like that for him. Bijan on the turf against Indianapolis. I like that. A.J. Dillon versus Carolina. I don't really like that so much, and I don't really know if I like Aaron Jones versus Carolina either. I think Carolina is going to give a lot of fits to Jordan Love. I think it's going to be a struggle on offense for Green Bay. Hawkinson has a revenge game. Again, I don't really care much about the revenge narrative, but I think he could do fine. It's, again, an indoor game. Zay Flowers versus San Francisco, I think, is going to be difficult. And I think Calvin Ridley versus Green Bay, depends if their defense is healthy again, how he'll do. He's boom or bust anyway. So, again, these guys have been very up and down all year, and the floor is just a lot lower than some of these other teams. That's really it. Yeah, he definitely has a high ceiling, but he also has a low floor. And I think Jake has a better floor. I think Freaky has a better floor, and I think LA definitely has a better floor. I think Chris has a higher ceiling than Jake, but I mean, I guess their floors I find are kind of similar, but I think Jake's is a little better. So they're both, in my opinion, I'm equally as afraid of each of these teams, of Chris and Jake, as of each other. And these two teams, I'm afraid of Elliott definitely the most. Freaky is right up there too. So this is sort of like my fear index, you might want to call it. But anyway, it's 9:59. I have a call in 1 minute. I got to wrap this up here, but yeah, that's it for the regular season. I hope I get a bye. I don't really know what else I hope other than to have the best way to the fantasy finals as possible. So in any case, I hope you guys have a great personal week. I hope you all have shitty injury-filled fantasy football weeks, and I'll see you guys soon. Bye.